So my name's Ivan Wall. I'm Professor of Regenerative Medicine at the University of Birmingham. And I'm also the CEO of a company called 4+ Immersive, who create virtual reality software so that we can train people using virtual environments for cost savings and efficiencies over using conventional lab training. We actually then use that training at the University of Birmingham as part of the National Training Centre in the Manufacturing of Advanced Therapies. And so I'm the director of that centre. And in that centre, we run a range of training courses that are really aimed at providing upskilling for people working in the sector, not just those working in companies, but also those working in the NHS involved in frontline delivery of advanced therapies. So people like pharmacists, research nurses who are running the trials, and then also those people working with that sort of still quite small but rapidly growing number of therapies that are available on the NHS. So 4+ Immersive are a virtual reality software company, and I set that up at the beginning of the pandemic with a view to looking at creating innovative new ways of training people so that we can address the workforce shortage in the advanced therapies sector. It was clear to me as a university professor that we need new ways of training people, but within the university structure in the UK, it takes us 18 months to set up a new course and then recruit people to that course. And typically courses will only have relatively few people on the start. So it's clear that if we're going to meet the workforce needs of the sector, and I believe that we need around 10,000 new employees entering the sector over the next 3 or 4 years in the UK. Clearly, just having master's degree programs where we can deliver sort of 30 or 40 graduates per year, or undergraduate degree programs where we may deliver 50 to 100 graduates per year, isn't really going to be enough to address that skills shortage. So the idea that with virtual reality we can provide hands-on training to people that's relevant to the sort of jobs that they will be doing in the sector means that actually we don't necessarily need to have people doing a 3-year degree in order to have the skills they need to come into the sector and to really help make it thrive in its early years of growth. So I think in the UK we're very good at discovery science, and certainly the pipeline of potential new therapies emerging out of academia is really fantastic. And actually, when you look at the number of clinical trials that are set up in the UK each year, I think they account for well over 10% of the global total clinical trials that are run for advanced therapies. I think the challenges really relate to having a skilled workforce who can deal with the manufacturing of advanced therapies. And by manufacturing, I include things like sort of process development, analytics, regulatory, and those general aspects that are required to take that sort of academic science and turn it into a product. And then I think the other area that there is a real skills shortage is within NHS. I think traditional NHS sort of delivery models for pharmaceutical drugs and for biopharmaceuticals is very different for advanced therapies. So I think the challenge in actually making sure that people like pharmacists who will take custody of a product, and they have to sign off to say that the product is fit for purpose at the point of receiving it at the site. And then actually those people like the nurses who are engaging with the patients and engaging with the patients' families, they need to actually understand what these products are that they're working with so that they can actually provide that sort of bridge to the patients and to their families as well. So the skill shortages, I think, really are around those technical elements associated with commercial manufacture, but then also the delivery side of things with the healthcare providers. I think the overriding one obviously is cost. At the moment, we're still talking about products that can cost huge amounts of money, and simply for NHS and other free healthcare providers around the world, it's not going to be feasible to cover for the costs of these drugs to meet entire markets. I think the other area that I would really like to see advances is in moving our paperwork associated with regulation away to a paperless system. And there are some really fantastic technology solutions that are emerging there to address that. So I think moving towards that digitalized way of capturing information and then securing it, I think is going to be really important. So those are the two real areas that I hope that we see an improvement on over 2023. That sort of, new technologies that can help bring costs down, but then also ways to digitalize, and improve the chain of custody and remove paper from the system. Well, I think what I'd like to see for this sector is ultimately for advanced therapies to become a mainstream treatment modality for the NHS. And I think to get there, we need to really consolidate all of the tech innovation that is happening at the moment. We are in the midst of an industrial metaverse. There are some people who believe that the industrial metaverse isn't yet here. I think it is. I think we're in the early stages of it, but I think we need to really kind of embrace that and bring in things like the immersive technologies that I work on, and then these sort of paperless reporting systems that others are working on, and then also digital approaches to analytics and sort of data retrieval, so that we can really drive forward process control for these medicines. And I think actually, if we have a future whereby we have all of this sort of digitally driven technology and sort of people skilling put together, I think we'll have a really nimble and efficient way of producing these medicines and getting them to patients. And ultimately, that's going to drive the costs down significantly. So I'm very keen to see where people are with some of these digital advances. That there are a couple of digital sessions that are really looking at innovation and how that's evolved over the last year in terms of analytics and sort of process technologies for production of cell and gene therapy products. There is a sort of workshop this afternoon that's sort of bringing together people to look at how digital technology actually can be utilised and what the future of that looks like. So I'm really keen to see what the thoughts of different people from around the world are in that respect. And I think just generally connecting with people in the sector, because we've not been able to do this for so long. I think seeing people in person, I think it really drives forward the sorts of conversations that really make things happen where perhaps we can't do that in a Zoom call. So, I mean, in the National Training Centre that we have at the University of Birmingham, we run courses there very routinely, and we try to sort of focus on introductory courses. So, regardless of what your skill level is within the sector, these courses really are about bringing people together to grow the community. So we focus on networking and on sort of shared experiences as much as we do on the educational side of things. So that on the university website, we advertise those courses, and we're always very keen to have people come in and sit them. Our next course in at the end of February is fully booked, so we're bringing on people and running these workshops and having really nice fully booked courses. So that's really good for us. But we're very keen to sort of bring more people in from perhaps the process development aspects of companies, and if they want to come and attend courses, then they're very welcome to. I don't think it is. I mean, the nuances of working with cell therapies, they are very different because they're living cell products. Similarly, with producing viral vector, it is different, say, to biopharmaceuticals or the wider pharma industry. But we do have these courses where we try to introduce people to concepts of how we manufacture cell and gene therapies, thinking in terms of unit operations, thinking in terms of controlling quality. So hopefully, if people are coming from other sectors where they are manufacturing, they will sort of be able to see the analogies of we have to control quality, which you have to do regardless of what you're manufacturing. It's just that the sorts of technologies that we use with cells and the sorts of risks that we face are a little different, and we have a lot more stringency in terms of needing to sort of manufacture under GMP conditions, and that in itself brings a whole load of new considerations that you may not have in other sectors that don't require such high sterility. But those are the sorts of things that we teach on the programs. And in fact, we use VR software as well to train people in how to go into the clean room environment, how to go and how to clean, and then health and safety and compliance things to teach people about what they should and shouldn't do when they're actually in that very clean, sterile environment.